Ruke Orhorhoro, defensive tackle out of Clemson. If you're having a hard time pronouncing his name, allow Ruke to help you out.
Just an easy way to remember it. Like I told them, it's like, oh, row your boat. So just remember that the H's are silent.
Yeah, just remember the H's are silent. I think he only did 2 rows there, but it's row your boat. So Ruke, as in Duke, Ruke Orhorhoro. Born in Nigeria, moved to England, ended up in Detroit, was a basketball player exclusively up until his junior year in high school when his father finally allowed him to play football. He's seen a lot, been a lot of places, faced some hardship when he was younger, but as a very, very good student in high school who graduated early with a 3.8 GPA, only played 2 years of high school football and dominated as he was doing so. So he goes off to Clemson, and I'll tell you, I give this kid really high grades for toughness. His teams, he's a hell of a student athlete, and yet his teammates also say he's the best trash talker, which intrigues me. Sometimes I worry about the guys. Sometimes I worry about us defensive linemen who are a little too good at school because there's a whole lot of just playing with your balls and not your brains when it comes to the defensive line. At times you have to actively detach your brain from your existence and be all balls when you're playing defensive line. And I think Ruke Orhorhoro, your boat, has the ability to do that. Like I used to have to tell scouts, like, look, Lo, I hate school. I do not want to go back to school. I just want to play football. I want to be a freaking Neanderthal. Okay. Just let me eat food, drink beer, and play football. And they're like, all right, we accept that you're meathead enough for us. I think Ruke's meathead enough. I mean, just look at some of the stuff I'm about to show you. Let's start off with his highlights first. Here we go. Right defensive tackle. He plays all over the defensive line, but 3 technique is where he probably projects to in the Texans defense. Just gets upfield, wrecking ball, takes a quarterback's helmet off just for good measure. Oh, no, this wasn't the one where he took the quarterback's helmet off. But he does a really good job like here on games where he both clears the space for other people, but also gets through himself. Very strong, very athletic, but the one concern I have about him is that he doesn't really have like smooth, fluid, athletic hips. But man, when he gets on edges and he attacks edges really well, he does a great job getting into the backfield. Doesn't like play with great lean, but can turn the corner quickly, if that makes sense. There's a lot about him that's really a lot of explosiveness and brute strength and really quick, but again, not so fluid, but he plays with really good fundamentals, so it doesn't matter as much. And I think sometimes he's strong enough to just lean in and bull his way upfield, like bunch of tackles for a loss this year. His technique, and I've seen people say that he needs to add more pass rush moves. I would agree with that. I think some of it might just be that he's not as naturally fluid a pass rusher as some guys are. And I see in some ways, if you watch, he kind of just turns his hips and shoulders the same direction at the same time all the time, which sometimes those guys are really good at stopping the run because they prevent an impenetrable wall. But it sometimes makes it tougher to get skinny and sneak past offensive linemen. Does a really good job getting into passing lanes there too. It's one of the things people noted about him. Looks right defensive tackle here. Again, when he's slanting, I know that I've seen that people said that he didn't do this as often as perhaps they would have wanted to see him, but he does flash and show good quickness when he is slanting. So I think there's definite athleticism here. He's definitely strong. His teammates and coaches seem to love him. Like he just seems like the right kind of kid. I just question exactly what his ceiling is, but I also think he's got a high floor. Like I have a hard time envisioning him coming in and just being a squid that can't beat blocks or anything. I don't think his pride or his ego would allow it. You know, Clemson has a tendency to get good dudes. Well, all right. Well, notwithstanding. Again, slanting to the inside. You see how it doesn't look? I'll show that again. You see, like he gets there. It doesn't look like, hey, this guy could be playing Premier League soccer or something. And he was a good basketball player in high school, remember, on a state ranked team. So he's got good feet. Never quits. If there's one thing I've noticed, man, a lot of these guys projected to go in the second and third round this year. They've got motors on them. They've got really good motors, and he's no exception. Right here, you could diagnose this better. You're gonna see gets across the line, look inside. He does a good job of looking inside, understands he's got this block coming. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether that guy's trying to kick you out or seal you in. So he delivers a really nice blow there. The problem is he's got to work back inside right there. So that's his guy. I'm not sure exactly why that made the highlight reel, but I'm glad it's on there. I mean, it's not like that was the biggest sin on earth or anything. He was generally aware of where he was going with that. He might have just been thinking that it was going to be some kind of a rollout, and he just whiffed a little bit on coming back inside quick enough. But for the most part, he's a conscientious dude who seemingly plays his responsibilities. But again, sometimes like this, somebody said one of the things I saw was that he perhaps sometimes is too happy to stay engaged and just try to bulldoze a guy or something. Right here, he's keeping his inside leverage, working. Now that's good there as a run play. If it was pass, I could have said that. That was really nice. Slanting inside. I always like this is if you watch, he's slanting inside and he's more concerned with ear holing the center to clear the way for his buddy than he is at getting upfield, which you can do both. I just like sometimes there's a bloodlust involved there in trying to ear hole somebody, but you can, it's okay to ear hole the guy and then be selfish and get upfield and try to get glory for yourself too. Head up, nose tackle to the right. Stays pretty damn stout on a short yardage play. You can see that this is where sometimes I worry that guys like this are a little too stiff or they play a little too square all the time to the line of scrimmage. But at the same time, you got that nice wide base and it allows you to post up versus double teams. So he's a guy that, I mean, first and foremost, it's nice to see that he does give a damn about stopping the run. Kind of just blindly going upfield there without regard for where the block is coming from. Good job. Not a clean disengagement there, but playing stout. Okay. This bothers me a little bit. I think it might work out here, but he's got this shake that he does, and like I'm not sure it's working for him. I'd rather just see him get to work and get down to business, get on with it. Get on with it. So watch the little shake there, shimmy. Okay. It gives a guy an opportunity to stay in front of you that much longer. Shake. If the guy gets his hands on you as you're shaking. Now JJ does this, and JJ wasn't the most fluid hipped athlete. He knew how to use the shake partly because his power was so extreme the guys feared the bull rush. And I don't know. That's nice there. It's a nice arm over. So the shake worked out here. Did it work because he had set these guys up with it ahead of time? I'm willing to concede that potentially. I like him. I don't necessarily know if he's destined to be an all-pro ever, but he plays with his hands really well. He's very, very strong. He's got good testing numbers and explosiveness that show up. When you watch him play, he doesn't look as athletic as like a Braden Fisk or a Chris Jenkins. And I think some of that is just the overall, again, fluidity of where he is. So I'm trying not to worry too much about some of these guys that the Texans are looking at. I know you guys are not happy when the Texans are looking at 295-pound defensive tackles because you want bulk in there. Maybe you want a Tavondre Sweat, and I get that. I like Tavondre Sweat. I want a Tavondre Sweat. I'm not sure what round I want him in. So remember, we're looking here at the second round and later. So there's give and take. The 320-pound guy that runs a 4.6 40 and jumps 40 inches. That guy's not here, okay? So you gotta look at the roster as it is currently right now. You've got Tim Settle, you've got Fudukasi, who are 320-pound type dudes. I think you've got some bulk there for when you need the bulk. I'm guessing that what the Texans are, almost just by virtue of bringing Michael Hall Jr. in and some of the people they've looked at, what things have been like in San Francisco when D'Amico is there. I think they like a guy that's more athletic at defensive tackle, as long as they do have some run stuffers that they can insert as needed. So if the Texans take him in the second round, I'll be a little bit surprised. I look at this guy as maybe more of a third rounder because I don't think he's got quite as much of an upside as a pass rusher. I'm totally happy to be wrong if that's the case. It's really hard to project these guys, but I also think that you're less likely to look at this guy like it was a wasted draft pick. Whether you draft him in the second or third round, I think he's going to be a productive player in the NFL. He has the makings of a guy that's conscientious, strong hands, and I think has room to develop. Remember, he's only played football since his junior year in high school. And again, his testing numbers are pretty impressive, and the explosiveness does show up. So some of what I might interpret as stiffness might actually just be a rawness, where he still maybe needs to develop some of the things that I tend to think of as instinctive, but come from playing defensive line from the time you're in fourth grade. I know that Lance Zierlein's comp for him was Justin Madubuike. I like that, and I can see that now if I think about Justin Madubuike and the player he's turned himself into without necessarily being a guy that looked like a prototype modern defensive tackle. I like that a lot. And I think that's a fair comp by Lance Zierlein, but it takes a little bit of projection, a little bit of polish you need to add to it, and a whole lot of practice. The kid's got a work ethic. I think, again, very well liked by his teammates, by his coaches. Thanks for watching. I'm Seth Payne. Played in the NFL long time ago. 5 years for the Texans, 5 years for the Jaguars. And now I do sports radio in Houston, and I have this YouTube channel. So please subscribe to the Sports Radio 610 YouTube channel as well if you want daily awesome Texans content from all of our shows and people. Thank you very much.